Is this an effective exercise to train your biceps? Of course not. You can't expect an exercise to work well if you are simply doing it wrong. So in order to make it work, you have to make the right adjustments. What's up guys, here are Alex and Sven from calimove.com, and in today's video we talk about the biceps push-up in detail. We will debunk the claim that this movement is a bad exercise and won't train your biceps at all. To understand why the biceps works in this push movement, we first have to take a look at the anatomy. The biceps is a biarticular muscle because it crosses two joints rather than just one. It originates from two different points of your shoulder blade and is attached at the radial tuberosity on your forearm. This explains why the biceps not only bends your elbow joint, but also contracts when you raise your straight or slightly bent arm with an outward rotated shoulder. If you hold a weight in this position, the biceps has to counteract the weight to keep the system in balance because it is attached to the forearm. If you raise your arm while keeping the forearm horizontal, you change the angle of the elbow. If the angle changes, the biceps has to produce more force to keep the system in balance. At the same time, the shoulder comes into play because you increase the lever between elbow and shoulder. Both factors increase if you further raise your arm. In a complete horizontal position, your shoulder has to hold the complete load of the arm, but the biceps has to hold the forearm and stabilize the elbow joint. Always make sure to keep the tension in your elbow joint. Otherwise, you fall into a hyperextension. This puts the biceps in a passive stretch position and you simply hang in your elbow joint instead of stabilizing it with the strength of your biceps. You also notice that the biceps doesn't get that rounded shape like when you do a curl movement because you don't change the length of the muscle that much. But it's still under tension at that length to stabilize the elbow joint. Now it's time to test this for yourself. Grab a small weight between 2 and 5 kg and hold it in a 90-degree angle of your elbow for as long as possible. After a long rest of at least 10 minutes, you use the same weight, but now put your upper arm onto an object and straighten the elbow without overextending it. The reason for that is to imitate the position when you hold the straight arm horizontally, but eliminate the support of the shoulder muscles. Compare the maximum holding times of both executions. You will notice that you can hold the extended arm position much shorter. If you want to go deeper into the physical details of this, you can find a link to another video in the description. Now if you're still in doubt, try another test. This time you do the same movement as in the biceps push-up, but only upside down. You can do this with a barbell, light dumbbells, weight plates, or even 2 bottles of water. If you hold the weight in a straight vertical line with fully extended arms, you got no lever and with that nearly no biceps or shoulder tension. If you lower your elbow but keep your forearm vertical, you increase the lever for your shoulder, but the biceps still doesn't work that much. If you now extend your elbow, you increase the lever between elbow and wrist and the biceps comes into play. The more you extend the elbow, the more the biceps has to work. This is the reason why your biceps works, even if you do a push movement. Alright, now let's take a look at the execution of the biceps push-up while keeping all these facts in mind. The first point is the hand placement. If you place your wrists too close to your shoulder, your biceps engagement drops drastically because you got a very small or even no lever. So in order to make the biceps work, you have to place your wrists more towards your hips and lean more forward when you are in the top position. If you're simply not strong enough to stabilize yourself in these positions, you will fall and with that can't create the necessary lever to stimulate the biceps significantly. The next point is about the torso arm angle. The biceps push-up only works if you are able to maintain a hollow body or at least a straight spinal position. This also has to do with strength, because the more you arch your back, the more you change the torso arm angle and with that reduce the lever. This also drastically changes the force that acts on your elbow and shoulder. In addition, you also don't do your back any kind of favor if you just hang passively in your structures instead of stabilizing the muscles around your spine and the shoulder blades. The last point for the execution has to do with your wrists. If you place your wrists close to your shoulder, you create an excessive wrist extension. But if you're placing your wrists more towards your hips, the angle increases significantly. When you compare this angle to other exercises that put some kind of pressure on the wrists, you will notice that, for example, handstands and planche lean push-ups with fingers pointing forward create a much higher wrist extension. Of course, you should still be careful, and that is the reason why you should rotate your hands slightly outwards when doing the biceps push-up. In this way, you don't put that much pressure on the cartilage of the side of your wrist. When it comes to wrist training in general, you should know that some people even get wrist problems from regular push-ups. That's the reason why nearly every exercise can be harmful to your wrist if you're simply not prepared for it. If you increase your wrist flexibility and stability step by step, you will be surprised what your wrist is capable of while staying healthy at the same time. So if your wrist is not strong enough and the weakest link of the chain in this movement, you can do the biceps push-up on parallettes or push-up handles while working on your flexibility and stability. Now when you consider all these points, the biceps push-up will work, but only if you are able to do it right. Of course, this requires a certain amount of strength, experience and coordination. You should also know that not everyone focuses on maximum biceps growth in the first place. The biceps push-up is a good exercise for people who want to work on their planche or on their straight arm bicep strength in general. This involves ring gymnasts as well as advanced calisthenics athletes. Exercises like the planche, the Maltese, the iron cross or a supinated grip back lever create that much tension for your biceps that some people actually experience significant gains from it. Christopher Sommer, who is a professional gymnastics instructor and former US junior national team coach, even goes that far to state that the majority of biceps mass from elite gymnasts comes from the straight arm work. Of course, straight arm or long lever work can only lead to significant biceps growth if you are able to create a big lever with enough intensity. A short lever, on the other hand, will simply not do the job. If done correctly, the biceps push-up is a good exercise to create that lever, and with that prepare your biceps, the tendons and the complete elbow complex for harder exercises. If you are a beginner, it's also possible to start with ring turnouts in a push-up or dip position to build that straight arm bicep strength. Now what's the conclusion? Is the biceps push-up the best mass and strength builder for your biceps? Of course not. Exercises like barbell, dumbbell or bodyweight biceps curls as well as chin-ups are much better and easier to perform for beginners and even intermediate people. These exercises can easily be adapted to your level, while the biceps push-up requires a lot of strength in the first place to stimulate biceps growth and strength. On the other hand, if you are able to do it and have no equipment available, you get a good exercise that works your shoulder, your chest, your triceps and your biceps while the main work is done by the shoulder. So never do this exercise like that. This is just a very bad version of the standard push-up with a different wrist position. Now what should you do if you work out at home, have no equipment available and can't perform the biceps push-up with proper form? Well, it's still possible to do it on your knees, but it's not that much of a difference in terms of intensity. If you got 2 solid chairs, a table and a broomstick, there are many other options to work on your biceps as well. You can find a lot of them in our home workout program at calimove.com. Of course, we also offer other programs. So no matter if you want to get more mobile, build muscle or learn calisthenics skills, we got the right option for you. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment. I'm Alex and I'll see you in the next video.